ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.
Well, we were not expecting that. 1-0-1 all-out Punjab Kings, one hand on the final, you'd say, for RCB as the uncapped batters of Punjab and their captain just collapsed on the occasion. Still not done, this game. It's only half-time and they've defended 115 at this ground. But you have to say advantage RCB. Josh Hazelwood on his return. His fingerprints are all over this RCB domination in the first half. Nexa presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout. Tom, Moody, Varun, Aaron and Dustin did not see this coming. Explain that, Mr. Moody.
Very hard to explain. I think firstly, first observation is there's a little bit in the surface. There's no question of that. So I think from what we've seen, I sort of look at about a 170 type surface. But what we saw Punjab do is totally implode under the pressure of a final with conditions that were a little bit supportive for bowling initially. They weren't prepared to sit in the game, just take the temperature of the contest and the conditions and then launch. It was nearly like we got to get to the finishing line as quick as we possibly can, and they all just stumbled over each other trying to get there.
Varun.
I mean, Punjab have basically pressed auto-destruct mode. Yes, the wicket had something in it for the seamers, but it wasn't a wicket which was supporting the spinners as well. Suryash got 3 wickets. I just thought there was exactly what Tom's saying. There was a time to rebuild. They could have easily rebuilt. It wasn't like there were like some huge demons in the wicket. Yes, it was supporting fast bowlers, but it wasn't a green top wicket, you know. They could have reconsolidated in the middle and at least back themselves to get 140, 150 on such a wicket. And then you could have seen RCB in trouble. Maybe could have seen RCB in trouble because they already have that behind their head that we've defended a really low total on this ground. We can do it again, but this total is too less.
Dustin.
Yeah, was it also just the execution and the balls they chose to get after? Because I was just kind of trying to make sense of it looking at the numbers. I think after the second wicket fell, which was at the end of the third over, after that, out of 68 balls, they've played 23 attacking shots, which is not, it's not like they've gone crazy off every ball. It's once in every 3 balls they're attacking. But of course, those 23 balls, they then lose 7 wickets. So it's like every time they played a few balls out and then they decided, okay, this one's the ball to go after. It ended up being the wrong ball to go after. Was it also that?
I think that those numbers are skewed because if you go to see the wickets were already lost and then the guys batting towards the end would have built up the numbers when no attacking shots would have been played. So when they were, especially in the middle phase, they were trying a lot of attacking shots, especially across the line. And on a wicket which is bouncing, we all know that you just got to play normal basic cricket and not go across the line. A lot of their bowlers, a lot of their batsmen, even against spin, went playing across the line and it just didn't work for them.
Yeah. The Shreyas Iyer wicket and innings is a story in and of itself. I'm sure he knows the numbers. I'm sure he's familiar with what Josh Hazelwood is likely to bowl. It's a 3-ball innings and the choice of shot for the wicket. What does it tell you?
Well, the first ball, he played a miss. The perfect line that you'd expect Hazelwood to bowl. 4th off stump, sort of test line and length. He sort of played at it but didn't really want to play at it. And then that 3rd ball, the way he got out, to me was a total misread of the game situation and also his own personal situation. Yes, he would be aware of that Hazelwood has had him a few times in the past. He wouldn't know the exact numbers unless the analyst was stupid enough to say, hey, by the way, you've got out 4 times for nothing against this guy.
This will do a world of good to your confidence.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to set your day off. Yeah. Which I don't think was the case. And I made the point pre-game in our show that at times you need to put your ego in your pocket and just move forward. To me, that was the perfect example of not reading the situation, trying to overcome something that has been a darkness in the past, instead of just sort of swallowing your pride and just moving on by just accumulating. You only had to see Hazelwood out. It was a simple thing. See him out and then look to try to dissect the rest of their attack.
I mean, we spoke about it right before the game, that 4th stump pitching and going away. Hazelwood is literally a machine. Knowing a batsman is weak in an area and executing it every single time, they're 2 very different things. Hazelwood just does it with perfection. Both balls pitching on 4th, moving away. Like I said, Shreyas Iyer's current technique, yes, it helps him take on short balls really well, but anything pitched around fourth and moving away, where he has to play shots, he's going to get edged more often than not.
Yeah, that Prabh Simran wicket was also a big turning point, wasn't it? Because, I mean, early in the innings, you've already lost one of the uncapped openers, and then he had hit 2 boundaries in that over. So it's not like, you know, he's played 3 or 4 balls and he feels, oh, I have to go after this one. And then he just, the way he gave Bhuvi the charge, you always knew, okay, this is either a 6 or it's out. I mean, the way he just sort of swung across the line.
Well, I want to give credit to Bhuvi there, because, yes, it was a poor shot. I totally agree with you. But you have to admire the experience of Bhuvi there, because he got hit 2 times. One over mid-off for 4, then over mid-on for 4, charge off his length. But Bhuvi used all of his experience and thought, no, I'm trusting myself on this length, because with this new ball, there's still a little bit there. So he hit that same length and it just bounced and held off the line. It was enough to get the edge. A lot of inexperienced bowlers would have been trying wide Yorker, leg stump Yorker, slower ball, bouncer, whatever, which is the wrong way to go.
I want to come back to Shreyas for a reason here. This would have been, in some ways, a conversation or a simulation that you would speak of between captain and coach. Prabh and Priyansh go hard. There is a chance with their high-risk game, you will be 20 for 2. We have decided that you will bat 4 and Inglis will bat 3. Let's assume in this qualifier you're going to come in at 20 for 2. Would you be more accepting of Shreyas looking to work the ball and nicking one or hitting it? Because the language of this team and the identity of their T20 cricket has been to take the game on. So why is it so disappointing when you bring up things like the batter not putting his ego in his pocket?
Well, it's disappointing because you can play that game when conditions suit. And this season we've been critical of teams, and Sunrisers have been one of them, that have got a certain brand of cricket, but if advantage to bowler is there because of what's in front of you, what you're playing on, you need to take a step back, assess it and say, actually, this is not a 200 wicket. Let's scramble our way to 170. We're in this game. Let's first get to 10 overs. Where do we need to be at 10 overs? Okay, well, if we're 70, maybe between 70 and 80 at 10 over mark, still with 7 in the shed to come in, we're in a great position. So that we don't have to be 9 or 10 and over at that point. So it's just breaking it back into, you know, levels to which are more achievable against trying to think we got to go 200. Because the way they played, it was like they thought 200 had to be on the board.
Yep. Was the evidence of the wicket of Prabh when Shreyas walks in enough for him to know that this is not the day for me to step out and charge Hazelwood or for me to play the big shot of Hazelwood? I'm just trying to think of whether he also had enough of a heads up that this is already where we need to start reassessing and not leave it for number 5, 6, which you can do at times.
See, Raunak, the wicket had something in it, but the ball wasn't hooping around corners. It wasn't like a wicket which had demons in it. So obviously, Prabh Simran played a really bad shot to get out. That shot wasn't on, and I think he himself has spoken about it time and time again that he needs to pace his innings, needs to, when he's got a few boundaries, to also rotate strike. But when it comes to Shreyas Iyer, that's just somebody who's been living in your head rent-free, and he comes to bowl against you, and you're like, okay, oh my God, not this guy again, and I just need to get out of jail. That was a get-out-of-jail shot.
Okay.
I've just had some Hawkeye numbers come through, and it's actually saying that this wicket seemed just a little bit more than the tournament average. It's not like some massive difference, which
That's
I was kind of expecting.
Which is perfect. Because the bat's only that wide. But with that little bit of movement, you get bounce as well, which this surface has got.
Yeah.
Happy days for a bowler. You know that for
You know,
sure.
he himself, they said it in Zest or No at the toss, said, don't ask me about this wicket, I'm the last one to ask. Which indicates to me that if nothing else, this surface today with the delayed announcement of New Chandigarh as a venue was an unknown element. It was always going to be a challenge for the team batting first, losing the toss. And you had to perhaps approach this game a little differently. But I'm not going to pin it only on Shreyas. Let's talk about why there wasn't a resurrection after that. Why couldn't someone else stop the ship from sinking? Did panic just set in?
There's a lot of
go on, you go.
No, there's a lot of inexperience in this team. You must understand. We were really praising how the Indian contingent has stepped up. The uncapped players have stepped up, but also this is the underbelly of uncapped players. They've not played a lot of high pressure games. They don't know how to react, and sometimes the inexperienced players somehow feel they have to take it up a notch in a high pressure game.
Yeah.
But when actually you just got to play the same cricket, and if you're in a good space, the game follows.
Yeah, the one observation I made was that I felt that given the disastrous start, I would have been inclined to, it's only a small thing, but inject Stoinis a bit earlier, because what they needed was experience out there. Someone that has been in situations like this before, someone that's played in finals, someone that's been in a situation when you're 3 for next to nothing. Instead of Wadera coming out, I thought maybe Stoinis, with the instruction, let's just get ourselves to 10 overs, get ourselves into this position, and then we'll reassess. You know, against it sort of being a mad panic to try to get back into the contest when you're basically on your knees.
Yeah. I think the thing with Punjab is they've had a couple of games this season where they've actually kind of hit themselves out of trouble, because they were about, 80 for 5 in the game against CSK, and Priyansh Arya kind of kept going hard. Then there was the game against Rajasthan Royals where they were 3 down for not much. And again, Wadera didn't really stop his momentum, but I think on Tom's point, it was probably just that the conditions in those games were such that you could do that, and they didn't assess that today this is not a pitch where you can be trying to hit yourself out of trouble.
Absolutely. You have to respect conditions. I think there are 2 teams and there's the conditions which you have to play in a cricket game.
What's quite interesting is that, particularly since we've had this impact sub, we've seen teams adopt this sort of all-out approach, which, yeah, I get it, and it's worked more often than not. Because more often than not, we've had surfaces that have allowed that to happen. But once you get a surface that is doing a little bit more, that's when that old-fashioned brand of cricket is really important, and that is just going back to lowering your sights to, in that sort of 160, 170 range, even 180 if you have a great finish, and just setting smaller targets instead of thinking big all the time.
I just think that the point that you made, Varun, on the uncapped player and the pressure, the other side of it. If you take Shashank Singh has earned a name for himself by playing smart, happy to play second fiddle, bailing them out of trouble. When he plays a shot like that, when it's already gone pretty bad, he normally will just take it deep, let's see what we can get. It just feels like everyone's looking at perhaps their name in the headlines, or the occasion's got to them.
It's infectious as well, isn't it? When you have players before you sort of make those poor judgments, you tend to sort of follow suit. It's a bit like dropping catches in the outfield. Once a couple go down, everyone feels like they're going to drop one.
Okay, there is another team in this. Yes, sorry.
No, even the impact player for that matter, I know it's a young player, Mushir Khan, but you would think, okay, he's obviously been sent in for a particular reason. The coach has probably told him something. I don't think the coach would have told him go and slog sweep across the line, right?
Dustin, that's what pressure does to you, right? Yeah. You can have the best conversations with your coach, or the coach can have the best conversations with the player, but when he goes out into the middle, it's just the player by himself. And sometimes you just, when you've never been in such a scenario, you just go blank.
They're one of the teams that bat real deep. I mean, Kyle Jamieson's not the worst number 11 to have, and they still had Omarzai to come. I was just hoping that they actually use all their resources before playing that card. Sometimes you just feel like nothing's going your way. I've thrown in the impact sub. That's one more thing to bring the team down. But did you understand the impact sub?
Well, they didn't have a choice, did they?
And let Omarzai go in. Let the international player at least go in before.
Yeah, possibly. But I think that they were hoping that, as you said, the instruction was a clear instruction. Just let's rebuild to this point here, and probably Ricky Ponting and the others were sort of then hoping that Omarzai can come in there and then blaze away for a quick fire 30 or 40 at the end.
Okay, there's 2 sides to this. We've only discussed the Punjab side of it, but we now have to focus on the RCB side. Why don't I bank that for what I'm sure will be a very interesting post-match chat, because RCB's bowlers did their job. It looks like they were really up for this. Suyash Sharma was fired up. So as the players walk out, I wonder what Shreyas Iyer has just said in that dugout with 101 on the board.
He'd remind the team about the game that they won in this similar situation. Don't quit on it, fight to the very last ball.
They had Yuzvendra Chahal in that game.
But they have a good fast bowling attack, especially for this wicket. Kyle Jamieson's going to extract a lot of bounce, more than anybody else on the surface. Omarzai can swing it, and Arshdeep Singh, we know what he can do. So if they had gotten 20-30 runs more, this could have been game on, but this is 2 less with Virat Kohli there in the middle. Yeah. Still, I would maybe favor not favor the fast bowlers, but just hope they get a 3-4 wicket first 10 and somebody is in the game.
I mean, first 10 it'll be done by the first 10.
No, but it is important that they at least make a fist of it, right? Because they have another game to go in the competition regardless. you don't want, the bowling to also not do well. You want, I mean, okay, even if they get 4 wickets.
I think that's all the more reason why they may absolutely get smoked here, because they know they have Qualifier 2 to fall back upon. And Marco Janssen's watching this surface somewhere, sitting nicely, either in transit or back home, saying, I wouldn't have mind bowling today. Anyway, RCB to do this easy. Kohli's just, you can't help but almost foresee that Kohli's just going to get this done. He's not going to play rash shots here. Or is he?
Yeah, I don't think you play rash shots, but this surface will even challenge the best.
Right.
If he gets a ball on that right line that we know that he can be a bit vulnerable just outside that off stump, he can nick it like anyone can nick it. So he'll be mindful of navigating the new ball and then sort of picking his moments.
I mean, you can always look ahead, like Tom says, instead of looking at what's in front of you. RCB are already looking at the final. They're already looking at that drought coming to an end. Well, it's not a drought, it's just never happened. Right, on that note, prediction time. I can tell you all of you were 83, 94 and 72 runs short. I was only a mere 57 short. So all that kept in mind, I can tell you that Forecaster has loaded and fired up 91% to the chasing side in RCB. Tom Moody.
It's RCB. Are going to win this comfortably, and
2 down, 3 down. Let's make it
probably I'll
interesting.
give you the over. I think it's going to be in the 13th over.
13th over. That's good enough. I'll accept either an over or a number of wickets.
RCB to win in the 12th over with 4 wickets down.
Okay. Dustin?
I'll go 15th over and I'll say 5 wickets down. Make it
15th
interesting.
and 5. All right.
Bit of a heart flutter.
10 overs. Game done and dusted. Done and dusted.
How many wickets?
10 overs. Who cares? They let them lose 8 if they must. Now, 5 overs, I think. 5 wickets, rather. And 10. Actually, not even 5. 3
wickets that's seeming are still
Phil Salt will get going here. Kohli will as well. Right, thank you very much, gentlemen. We will find out our first finalist of IPL 2025 by the time you see us next, which shouldn't be long, to be honest. And if it is long, that means it's going to be an interesting game. Either way, join us for post-match analysis. Nexa presents ESPN Cricket for Timeout.
Ready for it.
Thrilled for it.
Presenting Franks with Turbo Booster Jet Engine.
Nexa.